Car crash cases, defective products, dangerous drugs, injuries, and abuse. Across the state of Alabama, the attorneys, proudly sponsored by the law firm of Hollis, Wright, are here to serve you. Your tough legal questions answered by our experts. The attorneys with Josh Wright from the law firm of Hollis, Wright, and host David Lamb.
Hello and welcome into the attorneys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. An interesting topic of conversation that I think you're going to really enjoy. Would love to have you be a part of the conversation. Now, how you do that is simple. Throughout the program, you'll see contact information running on the bottom of your screen. That's a way for you to get in touch with us and join our conversation. Also, a neat little offer that Hollis Wright makes each and every Sunday evening is actual attorneys are standing by right now to take your calls. So if you have a question, maybe you need some legal advice on a matter, now's the time to take advantage of it. Again, just pick up the phone and make that call, or you can pass along a question, either one, if you'll just use the contact information at the bottom of the screen. Leading our conversation from the firm of Hollis, Wright, Carter Clay. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Good to see you, Mr. Lamb.
Good to see you.
Hope you're doing well.
Doing well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're going to hit it fast and hard tonight in the realm of disability.
Okay.
And we're going to be talking about Social Security disability and disability associated with supplemental security income, because there are some differences between the two. But essentially what we're going to be talking about is, what do individuals do if they unfortunately become injured or from some medical condition they are disabled from gainful employment? They can no longer work. Right. What rights do they have from a governmental standpoint? What is available to them in terms of being able to apply for some governmental assistance because of their disability? And there are a lot of individuals out there that are injured or have a medical condition that is preventing them from working, and they're not availing themselves of the governmental benefits that are available to them. Now, with that said, there are unfortunately individuals out there that may not be disabled or maybe have a medical condition or are injured, but not to the extent that they are disabled, and they are attempting to avail themselves of benefits that they really don't deserve. And obviously we want to make sure as a society that we curb that kind of abuse. So that's what we're going to be talking about here this evening, and it's a very important issue because statistics show that over 10 million people nationwide are on some form of government disability benefits. So we're very fortunate to have Alex Hirschfield here with us this evening to talk about this topic and to kind of tackle it head on and provide what I think will be some really useful information to the viewers. He's an outstanding young attorney in the Birmingham area. He's been practicing in the field of Social Security disability and SSI disability for many years now. So Alex, welcome to the show.
Thank you, gentlemen, for appreciate you having me on the show, and I look forward to telling everybody about this process and answer any questions that anybody may have.
Well, tell us just a little bit about yourself and your legal practice and how you got into the realm of legal disability claims.
Sure. Actually, as a law school student, I worked as a law clerk at a local Birmingham firm, and I learned a lot about the disability process and learned how important it is that people be aware of how these benefits could help them. And when I graduated from law school, I just knew right off the bat that that was the type of area of law that I needed to kind of cover, and I knew I could help people with that kind of those kind of claims, and I decided to make that an integral part of my practice, and I've been practicing in that area and many other areas for several years now.
Characterize for us the level of awareness and knowledge that people in society have about the availability of Social Security disability benefits or SSI. Is that something that the general population knows is available to them if they become disabled?
You know, surprisingly enough, there's a misconception about people's eligibility for disability, and that they think that they have to have stopped working for so many years or such a period of time, and that's just simply not true. It's available to pretty much anybody to apply. It's just the question is, are they medically eligible? Are they technically eligible? And a lot of times you just don't know until you make an application. And it really is not that involved in a process in filing. You just have to give yourself a chance and file a claim and kind of see what happens.
Now, we all know there are different types of disability policies, insurance policies out there, that what I will characterize as private policies that people have. We've all seen the Aflac commercials and things like that promoting insurance policies, but that's private. What we're going to be talking about tonight are public disability benefits through the government. And what I would ask you is, what are the different types of public governmental disability benefits that people can have access to?
So there are two programs, basically, a Title II, which is Social Security Disability, and then there's Title 16, which is Supplemental Security Income. And basically, those are the benefits that people can apply for, whether they've been working for so long or so many years and qualify based on their work credits, or the Supplemental Security Income program, where you may have no work experience or very little work experience, and you may not have enough credits to qualify for the Social Security disability, and therefore you might be eligible for the SSI. But once again, you need to file an application just to see if you're eligible and what you're eligible for.
Now, does the Social Security Administration, do they administer both types of disability claims or benefits?
Yes, they can. They can administer both of them and make someone possibly eligible for both. But once again, it's a case-by-case basis. Depends on your work history. Depends on how many credits you qualify for, and also it's time sensitive. You know, if you've stopped working and you wait several years and then file, you may not be eligible for one versus the other. Normally, I recommend to people, as soon as you stop working and you feel like you cannot return to do the work you've done in the past, or you're not capable of doing really any work, you should file an application for benefits.
Yeah. Now, I have found in my practice, which oftentimes can touch upon disability benefits from a governmental entity, that oftentimes people confuse SSI and SSD.
Right.
When we're talking about Social Security disability benefits, we're talking about individuals who have worked for some period of time and have built up enough credits, having paid into the system, that is available to them. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. Generally speaking, it's within a 10-year look-back period from the time of application. As long as they have at least 20 of the past 40 quarters, they'll qualify for Social Security disability. If they don't, then they might have to look at SSI claims. And an SSI claim typically has resource limitations, and we can get more into that a little later in the show.
A question we've got here: what does limited income and limited resources mean?
Limited income basically means that you can only have a certain amount of assets, a certain amount of money and checking and savings, and depending upon if you're married, your spouse's income may also affect your eligibility for SSI benefits. So there's not any real specific criteria other than, you know, a case-by-case basis, and you just have to file to determine your eligibility.
We need to go to a commercial break? Well, what I was going to say is it's important for the viewers to understand that SSI is a needs-based program. And it's essentially for individuals or people that are below the poverty level or have a child that has a disability.
Okay. Simple way to wrap it up there. Perfect. All right, we're time to step aside for our first break of the evening. As we do so, I'd love to have you join our conversation. You see the ways there to do so. Also, you can find the firm of Hollis Wright on social media. Find them on Facebook. Just search that term. Also on Twitter at Hollis_Wright. Stay tuned. More of The Attorneys coming right up.
I'm Josh Wright with the law firm of Hollis Wright, a personal injury law firm. Thank you for watching The Attorneys. Now, we hope you, a friend, or a loved one never needs legal counsel for a case. But if you do, the goal of the show is simple: provide answers and legal counsel when you need it the most. Your call to the show is free, so if you have questions specific to the show or related to other accident or injury-related topics, you can call, email, or text us. Or you can also follow us on Facebook or Twitter, or simply contact us by going to hollis-wright.com and click on the Contact Us link. We know your time is valuable, so thank you for spending it with us watching The Attorneys.
Back into The Attorneys. Appreciate you joining us Tonight, our topic of conversation is Social Security and all the matters having to do with it. I want to remind you, just before we get back to Carter and continue the discussion, there are attorneys standing by right now to speak with you. So if you have a question, maybe something you've always wanted to know, maybe a piece of legal advice you need, now is a perfect time to take advantage of that opportunity to speak with an actual attorney live right now. Carter?
Yeah, Alex, how does the Social Security Administration define disability in terms of awarding benefits? And is it the same for Social Security disability and supplemental security income?
You know, it is actually generally the same. As far as being eligible for benefits, you have to have, either be out of work or you just stopped working, or if you're working so minimally, it's not really considered to be meaningful work. And normally, to get that process going, you need to file an application through the Social Security Administration. You can simply file online. You can go and call their national hotline, and they'll take your application. And normally it takes 3 to 5 months on average for the Social Security Administration to determine whether or not you're going to be eligible. They send you out some doctors if necessary. They review your medical records. And then if you get denied, it's very important that you keep in mind about your denial date, because you have 60 days to file an appeal if you get denied. And that's generally the time that you want to hire a lawyer to assist you with your disability case. So
if I'm understanding you correctly, your general recommendation is that if an individual is hurt, they feel like they're disabled and will not be able to return to work, that they on their own, without a lawyer perhaps doing it for them, should apply for the disability benefits themselves.
Yes, that's generally how it works, simply because if you get approved right off the bat, you normally probably won't need the assistance of a lawyer.
Now, you touched upon this, but I want to make sure that the viewers understand what information or documentation will the applicant or the disabled person typically have to provide to the Social Security Administration as part of that initial review.
So generally speaking, the applicant needs to provide the date of disability when they just declare they were no longer capable of working, a list of doctors, medications, their conditions, the kind of problems they've been suffering from, and just basically in a nutshell, tell the Social Security Administration what conditions prevent them from being able to do any meaningful work.
And does the administration get into educational background and work history at that point? Because what may be a disabling injury for me may not be a disabling injury for somebody else.
There is some criteria that they evaluate or look at in making that determination based on your age, your education, and the type of work you've done in the past. Definitely can have a lot of bearing on your eligibility for benefits.
At what point should a person contact an attorney in this whole process?
Definitely if you have been denied and you've got a very short window of that 60-day period, you need to contact an attorney immediately and tell them, I've been denied, I need assistance with this disability claim, will you help me, and help them file the appeal. So that's critical.
And what additional information will the attorney typically gather as part of that process in representing the individual?
Generally speaking, the attorney needs to at least take care of the appeal if that's when the claimant contacts them, and then at that point start gathering all the medical related information for the claimant, the doctors, the types of medications they're taking and treatment, and then try and just develop a good understanding of what their conditions are that keep them from working and their work history, so that they can evaluate the case accordingly and moving forward and assisting the claimant.
Now, who are these actual individuals through the Social Security Administration that are actually making the decision on whether to award disability benefits? Is there one individual? Is there a panel? Do they go before an administrative law judge at some point?
The initial level is normally determined based on some sort of disability determinations, a service specialist, and then if you get denied at the initial level, then it's the administrative law judge who then makes that determination when you have a hearing.
And how do the attorneys get paid? Because obviously if somebody's disabled and they can't work, they don't have a stream of income to be able to pay an attorney. How is that typically structured?
Great thing about disability is it's the old, you don't pay unless you get paid.
Contingency fee agreement.
That's right. And if your attorney wins your case, then they get paid basically a 25% contingency based on your back pay or past due benefits.
All right, and so I think what you're saying is that they look at the benefits and they apply it retroactively to the date or the onset of the disability. They calculate that up, and then the attorney would be eligible for 25% of that amount.
That's correct.
All right, another question we have here. Why is 50 an important age with respect to disability?
As I like to say, 50 is the golden age for disability. It's the age when a lot of times that Social Security determines someone is incapable of being retrained to do a new job. So the question becomes, do they have transferable skills? If those skills do not transfer into doing another type of job, coupled with some sort of medical impairment, they will in all likelihood be an excellent candidate for disability.
Yeah, so that's certainly a factor that the Social Security Administration is going to look at, because the younger you are, then the more likely it is that you can be retrained to do something else. We've represented a lot of individuals over the years that have had some catastrophic injuries, permanent injuries, at a very young age, and when we talk to vocational experts about their disability, essentially they say, well, they're probably not going to be permanently disabled from gainful employment because they're so young, they have an opportunity to overcome that disability from a work standpoint.
Right. Time for us to take our second break of the evening. As we do so, a reminder, we'd love to have you still join our conversation. A whole segment remaining, so you have a few minutes remaining to join our conversation, and we really would love to have you do that. Stay tuned. More of The Attorneys coming right up.
I'm Carter Clay with the law firm of Hollis, Wright. When someone whose unreasonable conduct causes an injury to someone else, the law says that person is negligent. So it seems the injured person should receive some type of damages, right? Not always so in Alabama. In tonight's Legal 411, we answer the question, what is contributory negligence and comparative fault? Alabama is one of only 4 states in the nation to withhold damages based on contributory negligence, meaning if you are at fault, even just a little, you cannot be allowed any damages in a case. For example, in a case where a defendant may be 99% at fault for hurting you, if you are found to be 1% at fault, Alabama law says you get nothing. 4 states, Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland, and Alabama, plus the District of Columbia, are the only places in the country where a defendant can completely avoid paying if the injured person is even 1% at fault. This is very different from comparative fault, the measure used in 46 states. There are 2 versions of this system, but both essentially allow money damages based on the percentages. For example, if the injured person was 20% at fault for causing an accident, then the recovery for medical bills and wages is reduced by 20%. Numerous studies across the country show that people who live in comparative fault states believe this system of justice is more fair. Please remember, your call, email, or text to the attorneys is free. All of us at Hollis Wright want to help answer your questions on real issues you face. Remember, a competent lawyer will always respond to every question you send in. That's our pledge and promise to you.
Welcome back into the Attorneys Hour final segment. If you have a question, now's the time to take advantage of the opportunity to speak with an attorney live right now. So go ahead and take advantage of that. Carter?
Alex, in doing personal injury work and representing individuals that have been injured, oftentimes they're contemporaneously filing for Social Security disability. So that's part of my knowledge base in this area. But one of the questions I oftentimes get is, if I'm disabled and I am awarded either Social Security disability or SSI, supplemental security income, am I going to get any type of health insurance benefits through any of these governmental programs? And so I would ask you to answer that question here tonight.
Yes, actually, one of the great benefits, besides hopefully getting some sort of monthly income to assist you with your monthly needs. You also, with the program, particularly SSI, you actually get Medicaid, and Medicaid is normally awarded at the same time that you get the monthly benefit. That's part of your benefit package. And then with Social Security disability, you actually get Medicare. The only hang up with Medicare and being eligible is that there's a waiting period from the date you're determined to be disabled forward, and that's 30 months that they count from that date of disability forward into the future when you become eligible.
Is it 30 months from the date of the onset of the disability, or is it 30 months from the date you're awarded disability benefits?
30 months from the date of onset.
Okay, and so it may not be too much longer after the date of award of benefits, depending upon how long it takes you to become eligible and get awarded.
That's correct. Just all depends on, when you go before a judge or have your hearing, and they make that determination.
Question here, can you still work while on disability or SSI?
The answer is yes, but in very limited circumstances. However, initially, if you were first awarded disability, whether SSI or Social Security disability, Social Security normally permits you to do what's called a trial work period. You can work up to 9 months post-award, as much time as you want and making as much money as you want, just to see if you're capable of going back to work. Normally they start counting the month once you make at least $750 or more that month. And if you go beyond that 9 months, there may be an interruption in your benefits. So,
in terms of SSI, and I think it's good to remind the viewers that that's a needs-based program, and it's primarily based on financial need of the adult, or if you have a child that is disabled, that's sort of a little bit of a separate category of being eligible for SSI. But in terms of it being a needs-based program, does the government audit those individuals from time to time? Does the individual have to provide information from time to time about what their income status is?
Yes, absolutely. The government absolutely wants you to update their database with any change of circumstance, if you have any kind of income at all, because generally speaking, any income can certainly offset or affect your SSI.
And we see that a lot in our practice in terms of handling personal injury cases and workers' compensation cases, because a lot of times the individuals are on supplemental security income and they go to settle their personal injury case, and the first question they ask is this going to affect my benefits? And naturally my response is yes, it could. You would need to talk to somebody like Alex Hirschfield to figure out exactly how it might affect them, but that is always a possibility, correct?
That is absolutely correct. You always need to be cautious of that. And if you have a Social Security lawyer who's assisting you with your disability, you need him or her to work with your other lawyer who's handling your other case to make sure that doesn't become a problem.
And it's also important in a workers' compensation context, because there are a lot of individuals out there that get injured on the job and become disabled. They will be awarded Social Security disability, but be also pursuing their workers' compensation claim. And you have to be careful, because your benefits on the SSD could be reduced by an award of workers' compensation benefits. And there's some ways in which the lawyers can structure it to minimize that impact.
That is absolutely correct.
Less than 5 minutes remaining in the show. A couple of other questions I want to get to. This one here. First of all, what if I think that I can perform some other kind of work? Should I still file?
Well, thinking that you can do something when not knowing for sure, I always encourage people to file for claims regardless. Mm-hmm. And you can always file, and if you think you can go do another job, you attempt it, and if it fails, at least you already have the process going with the disability benefits. Otherwise, if you don't do that, then that's just waiting that much longer when you realize that you may or may not be able to go back to work, and the process just takes that much longer.
How are we doing as a society in terms of vetting out those individuals who truly aren't disabled but may be perhaps trying to game the system or take advantage of it? Because we hear in the political arena all about fraud and waste and abuse, and this is one area that has been ripe for discussion. Is there are a lot of individuals out there that are applying for disability benefits that really aren't disabled. From your perspective, how are we doing in that area?
Actually, I think that for overall, the government has a pretty good system in place that kind of, even though people get denied that probably deserve the benefits, more times than not can help kind of weed out or filter out those problems. And I'd say overall it's generally a pretty good system that works. Of course, we can always do better, we always can improve, we can always make sure that people who are trying to use the system are the right people to do it, but you know, it's always going to be an issue no matter what.
Sure it is. And one way I know that people have gotten caught trying to abuse the system before is that they will go out and file for Social Security disability, and at the same time they will go apply for unemployment benefits. Well, in order to qualify for unemployment benefits, the definition is you have to be ready, willing, and able to go to work.
Right.
So they're mutually inconsistent with each other, and we've seen some situations where people have been called to the mat on that type of situation.
Yeah, you're right, and that you do oftentimes hear of the worst case scenarios, you know, of folks taking advantage there.
Although based on the system, they normally will catch up to that because they'll cross paths.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. Some shared notes there will get somebody in trouble. Just a couple of minutes remaining time, enough for final thoughts from the both of you, and Alex, we'll let you go first, please, sir.
Sure. If you have been working and then you either suffer a major accident or injury or have a condition that's flared up and that keeps you from working and you don't believe that you can go back to that job or any kind of job, you absolutely should go file for Social Security benefits because you know, you've earned it, you have the right there, it's there for you, the government put it in place, and it's something that you should certainly investigate if that's something you need to do to help support yourself and your family.
Good.
And I would reiterate the point that the viewer should not be reluctant to contact an attorney out of concern that they're going to have to pay the attorney out of their own pocket. As Alex indicated, that's not how the fee structure is structured. It's structured based on a contingency fee arrangement where the lawyer does not get paid unless he is successful on your behalf. The other thing I would mention is that the government, in order to prevent fraud, waste, and abuse, the application process can be quite arduous and rigorous, and you may automatically get denied. I mean, I hear that the high percentages are that when you apply without a lawyer, you're going to get denied. And they want you to have to go to a lawyer. They want to see how badly you really want these benefits. Now, there are certain exceptions to that if somebody's really, really clearly disabled, but by and large, you may get denied initially, and they may kind of force upon you to go see a lawyer and really work for those benefits, and it may stretch out months and months and months. But the key is not to give up, keep moving forward if you really think you're disabled and if you're unable to work because you've paid into the system.
Yeah.
These are points that you've paid into the Social Security Administration and you can't work anymore. These are benefits that you're entitled to.
There you go. On that note, we'll wrap it up. Alex, appreciate the time, sir.
Thank you,
very
gentlemen.
much. Carter, nice job as well. We also always appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much for the time tonight, and we'll look for you next time right here on The Attorneys as we wrap things up, how you can still contact the firm of Hollis, Wright and also catch up with them on social media as well. Appreciate the time. We'll see you next week right here on The Attorneys.
Thanks for watching The Attorneys, sponsored by Hollis Wright.